see what happens. Always takes a few seconds to get this over.
Yeah, no worries. See, I'm not used to recording during the day, so
yeah,
all the natural lighting is throwing off my background.
Sure.
You can see the cat sleeping in the window behind me.
Right. No, I get you. I was up in bed. I had my desk thing on I had my laptop stuff up. So,
yeah.
I think we're going to go live here.
I actually stayed home from, hopefully my voice holds out. I actually stayed home from work yesterday. Well, I should let me rephrase that. I worked from home yesterday.
There you go. All right. We are live, folks. I'm not sure who's going to join us, but if you're out there, we are doing the Elimination recap show here. I'm your host, Joe Day Lowry. I got Dan, the smartest man in the room, joining us right now. Dan, overall, what did you think so far of this? I'm going to call this just a glorified SmackDown show more than anything. This was a whole bunch of nothing over in Australia.
I said it on the 30 when we were talking about the show. I said, they came off the Royal Rumble where there was a dozen people that could have won it, and it would have made the storylines make sense, and it would have been believable and good. Both chamber matches, you knew going in who was going to win. You knew who was going to win the women's title match. You knew who was going to win the tag title match. There was really nothing. I mean, expectations don't necessarily mean bad. But when you build up a show of anything could happen, it's the chamber, but what's going to happen.
Right.
It was kind of disappointing. I was pleasantly surprised too. The crowd, the Australian crowd is usually a raucous monster.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it was just the sound from the stadium, but there were pockets of the show where they seemed kind of quiet. And I don't know if that was just bad audio or what.
No. That crowd had nothing to cheer about tonight except for Grayson Waller and Rhea Ripley. It was horrible. And I got to say, they were really into Tiffy. Tiffy time was big over there. And you would have thought they would have made a last-minute change or something because we're so many weeks out of WrestleMania. What's wrong with Tiffy winning the chamber this year? You know what I mean? Becky Lynch. I mean, how many times are they going to shove Becky Lynch in our face when she's done it all? Isn't it time to pave the way? And another real strange thing was, I know we're going to go through the matches, but Tiffy pinning Naomi before everybody got in the match.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I kind of guessed that Naomi would be the first one eliminated.
Sure.
But the fact that it happened so early into the match and with a surprise roll-up kind of cheap. But as far as the women's match goes, I thought it was I don't want to sound bad like I'm judging women's wrestling, but it was better than I thought it would be because there were some styles in there that clashed I didn't think would work well together. But they did surprise me. They had some good spots. There were definitely, like I said, like I was predicted on the 30, there were those planned spots where somebody takes a body slam and then rolls in the corner for 5 minutes while everyone else gets their shit in. Women's matches tend to be stronger on that than the men's matches did the same thing, but I mean, it was predictable. When you have that WrestleMania, what was it called? The press conference they did in Vegas a couple weeks ago. And they literally had Rhea and Becky on stage saying, I'll see you at Mania. What else is going to happen? You telegraphed it.
That's when all the memes came out and said, did anybody tell the WWE that this is all set for Mania? Because it wasn't even announced or anything like that. They're already plugging it before Chamber. I thought the women's Chamber match probably, in my book, pretty much close to one of the big matches of the night. I mean, there were X amount of matches, 5 total, I think, the pre-show. I think the women's did very, very well. The Tiffy had the big move, the big spot of the night with jumping off the pod and all that, which was, kind of expected. Yeah. But overall, I gave that match like a solid B.
I agree. I said my notes. I said B+. I will say the one spot that impressed the shit out of me was when it was down to 3. It was Becky, Bianca, and Liv. And there was a spot where Bianca had laid them both down, and she was going to do a handspring. If you watch it, she overshot it
Yes.
but was able to plant her arms and like adjust.
And I think the camera angle helped that as well.
The sheer upper body strength and balance that takes to do that in the mid move. If she hadn't have adjusted, she would have caved caved Liz's face in with her knee. So to me, that is a impressive physical specimen to be able to do that. I thought the spot looked great for what they were doing. The finish, the bam bam 1 2 3, the roll up, and then the manhandle. That almost felt like, anybody that knows wrestling where the ref goes, "Hey, we got to go home now.
We got to get out of here." Yeah, I definitely felt it. I had a feeling. Inside of me, the fan inside of me pulled out. I said, "Geez, Liv Morgan has a solid chance at winning this thing." And I'm going, "Wow, maybe they changed at the last moment," because obviously Tiffy time. I'm going to keep saying Tiffy time. It's easier.
I think we all kind of agreed that. That the final two were going to be like Becky and Liv, the way they've been building it.
I would have loved it to see Tiffy, Becky, and Liv. That would have been the ultimate passing of some type of torch. But again, we're stuck with Becky Lynch again. I'm not downplaying Becky Lynch. She's a great superstar and all that. But it seems like we're on the other side of the 4 horsewomen's careers. We've already seen it. They've already run their gamut. They've already won everything. It's time to move on. And I thought maybe this would have been a good chance, but I guess it just didn't happen.
Well, I think you were saying Becky just done everything. I think that was the whole point of this narrative. Is that's the one thing she hasn't done is a big one-on-one match with Rhea.
Yep.
So and really, I mean, like you said, at the point where they are in their career, this is the point where Becky needs to put Rhea over.
Yep.
To continue this dominant run championship. So when Rhea finally does drop the belt, it means something. Right. And I do wonder if this was the original plan, or would Charlotte have been in the mix somewhere if she hadn't been hurt?
I don't know. Yeah, I think Charlotte definitely would have been in the mix with all this if she was here. Looking at the lineup here, I don't know where she would fit in. I think Tiffy is the new Charlotte. I think all the hype before Charlotte I think Charlotte was going to put over Tiffany at some point.
I could see that
in this stretch, but obviously her knee gave out Charlotte's knee, and she's on the sidelines.
I honestly think, because it seemed like at the Rumble they were building up Bianca versus Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
If they decide that Jade Cargill's not ready, I think Bianca versus Tiffy will probably be the direction they go with that.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, all right, just getting back to the overall pay-per-view here, if you want premium live event. Like I said at the beginning, this is nothing more to me overall looking anticlimactic all around. No surprises, no Rock, no Reigns. Just nothing surprised me.
I mean, you said that.
Go ahead.
On our Thursday show, you said that. You said there's no way they have this event, especially with the whole Grayson Waller effect build up, where they build up this huge card and they don't have Rock and Roman show up, and they didn't. And I don't even know if Rock and Roman were in Australia. Like, I didn't see any pictures of them on the plane.
And Undertaker was there. Nothing. They promoted his Dead Man show.
Yeah, he did the one man.
I just don't understand why you get the WrestleMania of Australia and they did absolutely nothing. Great fireworks display for Rhodes and everybody.
Right. The pyro was on point.
I just don't understand why we had this event. I don't understand why they had this event, honestly, before WrestleMania. You could have done this on a Raw or SmackDown. There was no, overall, when I'm looking at no table shots until the end, which was totally blown by Rhea Ripley. I think that Samoan drop was supposed to put Rhea over in that.
Not even totally blown. If you notice, Nia didn't clear the table first.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And she had
back first on a monitor. That you could see that flinch was for real.
She had to strategically throw her on there, and I'm like, this is. I mean, even 40-year-old Corey Graves now, happy birthday, blah blah blah. They couldn't even clear the desk. I'm like, this is nuts. Like, this is like and the crowd was so quiet outside of the Rhea Ripley. It was just borderline boring.
I think the crowd kind of lost because Rhea was the homegirl, but really even the home crowd about 5 minutes. I don't know if she was just stiff or gassed or what, but about 5 minutes into that match, Nia looked like she was wrestling in quicksand.
Yeah, and I just.
It was very plotting, kind of boring, and that's unfortunate because Rhea Ripley is probably pound for pound the best talent they have on the roster. Period.
I think we have to give kudos to whoever did the woman's makeup, because I know it was 77 degrees, but the humidity was close to 100% there.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give them credit. I thought for sure makeup and eyelashes and things were falling off, but they all look great beginning to the end.
And I hate to say it, because like I said, I credit Rhea as a talent. She's a phenomenal wrestler, but you cannot ignore how good looking she is too. And I noticed, I don't know if it was an intentional attire choice, but her attire became very thongish by the end of that match.
Oh no, I called it scantily clad from the beginning. I knew walking out that, okay, that jacket comes off, more revealing. I don't know what it is, and I'll say it right now, the crotch shots. I don't understand, what her outfit, why that attire is for her, because Peacock, SmackDown, Raw, they can't show that element. Well, yet she's out there with that element.
Speaking of the element, I made a note of that. During the men's Elimination Chamber match, the audio cut out while Owens and
audio, the video too. The video.
Oh, see, I only lost the audio.
I got all black screen on that.
See, it was right when they started jaw jacking, and I genuinely thought, and now maybe it could have been a feed thing and just a coincidence, but it sounded like somebody cut the feed because they didn't want to hear, they didn't want the cameras or microphones picking up what was being said.
That was good. I lost on my end. I got black screen, and I'm like, okay, what? I thought somebody hit the cord or something happened. It was muffled, the sound, but I got a black screen on that. And I was like, okay, what's up with that? Something's going on. They didn't black out anything all night.
Right.
There were some, bullshit chants, and you heard them. They didn't black those out. So I'm like, all right, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's probably the F word or something they didn't want to catch. But I will say, you were talking about Bland. The only match that I have no complaints on whatsoever was the tag title match.
Best match.
Best match by far. Two phenomenal teams. Clearly, Dunn and Bate are going places. They looked like $1 million in defeat. Dominic Mysterio cheating kind of made it just enough where I question whether or not they would have won if it was fair.
Right. He got thrown out. The referee threw him out. And the crowd loved it and all that. I thought it was great that you knew the Dominic effect was going to come in there somehow, and the only way they could do that was to have him introduce Judgment Day to get the crowd to boo and all that stuff. And the crowd reacted pretty good to that. But 50,000 strong, that spread out, it's kind of tough to, it's not like SmackDown or Raw where you can't even hear him. You still heard him. You still heard him introduce, Finn Balor and Damian Priest. But the boos were there.
Right. I couldn't help but wonder, because remember when at the Royal Rumble, the stories that came out from the dirt sheets and all was that Braun Breaker took the Brock Lesnar spot with doing the big, and then Dominic Mysterio eliminating him cheesily, because they said the original plan was to have Lesnar against Dominic at the Chamber match. I'm curious, because the card felt full and didn't really feel dragged out, except the women's title match, which was slow anyway. I'm curious where they would have put that match in, and two, how it would have worked into the current storylines.
Yeah.
So I didn't. It's how's that go? I can't miss you if you don't go away. Like I didn't feel like I was missing anything. Yeah.
A lot of that match, surprisingly, was in the ring. Nothing outside the ring.
Yeah.
It was. I noticed that. I put my notes down. There was no outside action whatsoever. Kind of predictable, the almost finishes started to add up, and then you thought Pete Dunne and they had it with their moves and everything, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work out. The coup de grace by Finn Balor. Again, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, great tag team. I really thought they'd be the next tag team champions. When you have a show like this, I mean, are they buried since they lost down under? No pun intended. But, do we come back to the States and pretend like this loss didn't happen? They're a great tag team. I think they're the best tag team for men's out there right now. I'm not even sure what other men's tag teams are there besides
I think
the other boys.
They look like
New Zealand.
They look like $1 million. Like I said, they look like $1 million in defeat, and the whole Dominic having to cheat with the pulling the foot under the rope and all.
Oh yeah, you knew that was happening. Right?
Yeah, it made it so that you as fans question. Could they beat the Judgment Day clean? I really think that where they're going is the Judgment Day is going to have to drop the belts at Mania to Awesome Truth. That seems like what they're building up for.
Yeah,
and then at some point they're going to have to, excuse me, they're going to have to split the titles probably before October when all the shows start switching networks again.
Over. Yeah, Netflix.
But I mean, you've got some decent tag teams to, hopefully Triple H and TKO take tag, because Vince had been very public for years that he had grown bored with tag team wrestling and could care less about it.
He changed the rules and all that stuff.
Yeah, so hopefully Triple H and the TKO guys actually put some serious respect back on tag team wrestling, because that's always been my favorite. So
yeah, when I say good tag teams, I mean wrestling tag teams like Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. They wear you down. I mean, Finn Balor sold the finger thing after the loss, so that could be something later on where he's like, I want them again. I'm sick of, that's something. I know R-Truth, Awesome Truth, and all that. They're the entertaining tag team, so to speak. You know what I mean? Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, I've watched them since UK when they started out with WWE UK, and I said, these guys are good. They tell a story, they wrestle, they wear you down, that type of wrestling, and they've improved it to a style now where it's entertaining. I mean, they do the little flare ups, but it's still Pete Dunne stomping on your fingers, ripping them apart. Tyler Bate with his unbelievable off the ropes moves. That is so innovative. They need to show more of that. I mean, how does he do that? He goes in with his neck. He bounces off the ropes with his neck.
Well, I mean,
that is innovative in itself.
He's got to wear some custom shirts or something, because his neck is way too thick for how tall he is. But I'm glad Michael Cole mentioned, because NXT UK kind of got absorbed. I'm glad he mentioned that, because correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Tyler Bate 19 when he won the tournament for the NXT
very
UK title?
Very young. Yeah. Yep.
So I mean, you've got a great future, two young guys.
Definitely.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of that name, the tag team name. But it does seem like it'll grow on me, because I respect them as workers. And like I said, I think once they split the titles, which they're going to have to do eventually, those guys will be fine. Plenty of good. I mean, you got them, you've got the Creed brothers. There's plenty of good up and coming teams that they could do stuff with. And I'm glad to see the tag titles being treated seriously. The women's tag titles were on the pre-show.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that match. I mean, Indy Hartwell had to make an appearance, and this was kind of last minute.
Yeah,
they did this on Friday.
Got the crowd reaction, but you knew that with the Bailey build up against her old faction, Damage Control, they're not going to drop the titles just yet.
No, not yet. Not overseas like that. I think Hartwell definitely was just a feel good thing, but how can you take them serious? Candice LeRae, nothing against Candice LeRae, but you got some NXT people going after the Kabuki Wars. Yeah, and that was, for me, just to let you know, that was at 3 a.m. I've been up since 3 a.m. So it's actually 2:45 to wake my ass up and put some coffee on. But
I was going to say, because you're
an hour behind on East Coast.
You're Central Time, aren't you?
And here I was, and I was actually talking to some people over in the UK during this, and they had it like 10, 11 in the morning for them. So they actually had a good one. Let's real quickly go to the Grayson Waller effect. This is where I really expected something to happen, but I said on Wrestling Remembered and to 30 that where they placed the Grayson Waller effect on the card will affect the show. And I knew once they placed this before the men's chamber match, I kind of knew nothing was going to happen. I built up The Rock and Roman Reigns to be there as a surprise. And then you threw in Austin Theory. And I'm like, okay, he's going to take a bump somewhere. Who's he going to take the bump from? And lo and behold, Seth Rollins declares that he's going to be medically released from whatever in, this week. Yeah. But yet he goes and gives him a glorified foot stomp to Austin Theory. So okay, so obviously he's cleared. He just can't take a bump yet. Whole lot of nothing here. What do you think?
It was a whole lot of nothing. And that surprised me when they said that when he said, I'll be medically cleared in a few days, because if you remember, his official diagnosis was a torn MCL.
Yeah.
And I mean, even partial tears, you cannot fix a torn ligament like that without surgery. And he hasn't had it. So to be medically, maybe it's one of those, like a bone bruise or a kind of condition where the doctors have said, look, you're not going to hurt it anymore if you start wrestling. It's healed enough that do your matches, and then maybe he'll drop the title and take a few off from surgery or something.
They had mentioned, now that's, this is wrestling and so forth and sports entertainment. So was it really a torn MCL? Was it a strained MCL? We don't know for sure. We'll definitely know for sure after Mania if he drops the title and takes some time off and says, my knee.
They do an injury angle or something.
You know, we had the angle with him and Shinsuke about the back. He had a back issue and all that stuff. And now it's the knee issue. So I probably think Seth Rollins carrying the company for so long, or at least Raw anyways, he's due for some time off. I know. I remember back last year, WrestleMania, the big news was that him and Becky Lynch were going to take some time off. Becky did because of an injury or the book writing she had to do. But Seth never took that time off. So I'm thinking, maybe there is something to this. Maybe he will drop the title and start to feel better and do whatever he has to do.
You're right. I remember it because he was off TV for, I think it was like a week. And then when he came back, he cut the promo about because that was, I forget if it was the Vince thing, but I remember it was something where he basically was like, well, that was a short vacation. Sorry, you guys needed me again.
Yeah,
I will say, if TKO is reorganizing the office, they whoever approves Seth's wardrobe needs to be fired immediately because I have no idea what he's going for coming out dressed like a crazy runway mannequin, with the. I mean, it doesn't fit the character anymore. Like now he's the more serious, friend, which that is confusing too because he's got, like you said, he's got McIntyre coming up, right? He's got to defend the title at Mania, but he doesn't seem to care about McIntyre. His entire character right now.
We've already seen this though. We've already seen this match. It's like you're gonna throw this at WrestleMania now, a match we've already seen 100 times.
I think they're tweaking it because when the last 2 times he wrestled McIntyre, it was face versus face. Now McIntyre is full blown heel, so there's going to be there's a different dynamic there. But I think McIntyre could probably come in offended over the fact that Seth doesn't seem to care because his entire thing is I'm going to back Cody up against The Rock and the Bloodline. So either they're building him up to turn on Cody, or they're building it up to where his title match with McIntyre is going to be the subplot.
Yeah. Now, good morning, Baby Cake. She's saying good morning to us. Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it. Okay, back to the Grayson Waller effect. I had some notes here. The intro, Grayson Waller. Then, of course, what do you call it? There was a shout out to the UFC fighter there. They did the shoey drink. I forget his name.
Oh, yeah.
So they did that. I don't understand that concept too, but that's a story for another time. Seth came out first. Cody came out next. Cody got the fireworks. But then during the segment, lots of silence. Like, I don't know if they were trying to hear what they were saying. It's tough to do segments like this. Yeah. Even back in the day when they did the Roddy Piper segments and all that was more geared towards for TV, and the crowd could really only listen on the screen or whatever. This segment, and I was talking with the player on this because he's unable to join us. He might chime in. He's working today. This segment went wrong. Something went wrong with this segment, and Cody kind of saved it, even in silence, by challenging The Rock,
right? And
then Seth saying, "I got your back," which. Again, we're all talking tag team match at some point here. But the whole thing, the crowd silence was so evident during this this whole show. What do you think? What do you think?
I made a note of it. Where did I write it down? Yeah, where the silence seemed to be, to me, it was what we were talking about earlier. Is the crowd, you could hear kind of a rumble, and they were they did Seth's music and they did Cody's music.
Yeah,
I think as it settled in that The Rock and Roman weren't going to come out, I think that's when the crowd started to die. That's when it went dead, because then it was
they were expecting it.
Cody promo at that point.
They were expecting it. Now, see, the Aussie crowd seemed very nice. A couple of bullshit chants. With Tiffy being eliminated and so forth, and the Nia Jax booing and all that. Yeah. But the crowd, when they didn't get their way, they didn't get vocal about it. They just went silent, which is probably more devastating to a WWE audience that's at home watching, because you turn it on and it's like this crowd's silent. You got Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins out there, 2 number 1 players in the WWE, and you get silence.
Yeah, that was actually I don't know, a random side note. I don't know if you saw several former WWE wrestlers all won titles over the weekend.
Sure.
At their debut match.
Oh yeah, I saw Mustafa Ali, TNA.
X Division. Matt Riddle won an undercard title, his match in Japan.
Yep,
And you talk about silence, because that's what the Japanese crowd does. They don't boo if they don't like what they see.
Right. If they
pin
disagree
drop
with something.
silence.
Right.
That was pin drop silence, almost to the point of what Japan's equivalent of go away heat. But I think here that they lost the crowd when it became obvious that Rock and Roman weren't coming out. Yep. Which was not only like, man, this segment's not as cool, but also like how many people were excited. Like I maybe not bought a ticket, but like the Rock and Roman are going to be here with Cody in the ring.
The
like
expectation was there, especially with the Rock, especially with the Rock's tweet on Friday or Thursday, saying if they talk anything about me, I'll smack them in the face. So that you lead to believe that he's going to be there at some point.
Right. And you get the big build up, and it ends with Cody hitting Austin Theory with a Cody cutter. Like that's your WrestleMania build. You know, that's going to make Cody look stronger going into his challenge against The Rock. Like nothing against Austin Theory. I just the segment felt like a flat ending. And if
the whole card was flat. The whole card.
If you notice too, where the booing and silence was, there were two of the eliminations in the men's chamber match were dirty. You know, now granted, no disqualification to quote Jim Cornette, lazy booking, but you know, you got AJ attacking LA Knight, so clearly that's going to be a Mania setup. AJ in LA.
That had no significance on this chamber match whatsoever, except for eliminating LA Knight, which you knew McIntyre was going to win.
You had to eliminate LA Knight dirty because of how he was probably the most over person that whole weekend.
That's what I'm saying. Like this is just insane. If you're going to have a do nothing card like this, what's wrong with LA Knight winning the chamber? Because if down the line in weeks you could just eliminate LA Knight in some fashion or some storyline. My notes on this was not much at all. Besides Logan Paul, the big spear by Bobby Lashley. There he is, the cat.
Yeah, sorry. She's trying to jump on the keyboard. I don't want to sign off.
You got to save that. You don't want to disconnect. The big thing was obviously the spear to Logan Paul. Great stuff, blah, blah, blah. But overall, the AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley was non-existent in this match. Yeah, like why did he make the trip? Why did he go down there?
Bobby Lashley was very clearly the filler, because that was supposed to be CM Punk in that match.
Right.
And they had nothing. Obviously, whoever you replace Punk with is just there to be there. And
he was there for no reason.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they could have picked.
I'm curious though, because we all kind of thought they were going to do LA Knight versus Logan Paul, but it seems like with that cheap shot from Logan Paul interfering, it's looked like they're going to build Logan Paul versus Randy Orton. Which,
I mean,
are you going to put the U.S. title on Randy Orton as his last few years? Or
no, I don't think that's going to come to fruition. I think this whole card was the disappointing factor. The whole card to me was non-existent. Like they did not expect. I'm dying to see the viewership numbers for the U.S.
Yeah,
they won't get a better crowd on the West Coast because I'm in the Midwest and I was up at 3 a.m.
So on the West Coast.
It's almost like they felt that they were just. It's going to be shown as like a replay to everybody. People how just getting up now,
right? How many people that because now you got to be careful too, because you got to stay off social media to risk spoiling anything. But how many people
social media had everything? So
how many people on the West Coast are going to sit down and have breakfast and watch it? A few hours later, or me, if I hadn't gotten up, I have cats, you saw, I can't sleep in, but if I'd gotten up later, I'd be eating lunch and watching it,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I know when they were over in the UK and all that stuff and they were ahead, I mean, it was breakfast time over here and, I turned it on and just, I didn't watch it like I'm doing now.
Right.
To me, what confused me was Pizza Hut. We had 2 Pizza Hut commercials. Get your wings and all that stuff. Now, I don't know if you had that on your end, but I had that on my feed in between the matches on Peacock. And I was confused as why are they putting a food commercial out when they know everybody in the U.S. it's early in the morning. And, even if you were hungry, DoorDash or whatever, Pizza Hut ain't open right now. You know what I mean? So I think maybe they were positioning this as a replay here in the U.S., where they're going to get up. It was almost like it's going to be if you're just getting up now, everybody, and you're watching this and you're watching, it's going to be like a glorified SmackDown or Raw. So feel free to fast forward if you want, because there's really nothing to talk about here. There were a couple of spots, but Triple H coming out. just to announce fireworks galore and all that, just to announce that 52,590 people braved the 100-degree temperatures because the sun was up at the time of the start of all this, came out. He just thanked them. It was real quick. It was real brief. There was no, are you ready? There was just that. It was almost, I hate to sound eerie, but it was almost like Vince McMahon when he came out and said, then, now, and forever. And walked out of the ring. And I'm like, what's going on? And when did the chief content officer title change? Did you notice that? He's no longer head of creative. Like, he's the chief COO, chief something operating officer, creative content operating officer. They've been change.
They've been advertising him as the COO.
Yeah,
even during the McMahon era, he was chief of operations. Now he's chief of content because they did that with the merger because Vince was the executive. If you remember, Vince was the executive chairman of the TKO board.
Yep. No, I get that. Yep.
And so they did some shifting because TKO was real adamant about not. From what I understand, now this is, WWE was never publicly admitted that this was just based on reporting, that TKO didn't want to focus on there being a content or creative side. Like you want to present it like it's real. So you can't present it like it's a real product and then have your head writer as a title,
Right. And like I said, it's worrying me that they keep calling him Paul Triple H Levesque and not, Triple H. Which alludes me to the fact that if and when Stephanie Levesque comes back, not McMahon, that'll be the name that they have to get rid of. It's no longer Stephanie McMahon; it'll be Stephanie Levesque. That's my going on this. They're pushing the Levesque name.
Yeah,
in case Stephanie is brought back in some capacity. Because obviously Vince is no longer with the company, TKO and all that. We all know what's going on there.
Yeah.
But it seems to be that they are really promoting Triple H, Paul Levesque, the last name, with this. So, anything could be up with that. Another nickname I have for this pay-per-view is Perth has no girth. I mean, they were dead, man. It was, I hate to say it, but all the hype, 52,000 plus, I feel bad for them. I don't know if they're all. I can't wait for the feedback. I know we're doing the show right after. I can't wait for the feedback from the fans. Like, did they enjoy it? Outside of the Cody Rhodes pop and the Rhea Ripley pop, which really wasn't a major pop. Cody Rhodes, I'll give it because they love they love doing that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So they were down for that. I just don't see. I didn't get that. The Rock comes out, he puts his arm up and says that, goosebumps and all that stuff. I didn't get that effect. This was a huge event for Australia. I'm sure they generated millions of dollars for Perth. They probably jump-started their economy down there, Western Australia. I just don't know if fans went home with that feeling of, wow, what a show. You know what I mean? Are they going home? What are they talking about? Are they talking about like how horrible the Grayson Waller effect was and stuff like that? What do you think?
I will say the only one that really, like you said, I made a note that Triple H's presentation felt very phoned in.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was jet lag or legit, he could care less.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, there's also the stories have been reported that part of the reason there's several people, including former 1990s Attitude writer, that have come in. The Rock is putting pieces in place. If Triple H has to step down, they've got everybody in place to just run the company without anybody from the old guard.
I think that's coming either way, whether the Rock's in that position or not. I think once that Vince had to step down, by the time the media and we find out what's going on, they're already one step ahead. They're probably 10 steps ahead right now until the media finds out and they put the pieces in place.
Yeah.
Like you said, the McMahon name is probably going to be gone. They've already eliminated Brock Lesnar from TKW, the game.
Yeah.
So, they're already putting those pieces in place now.
I did see a report. They said that, and again, it hasn't been released yet, so it could still change. But apparently, they did say because the WWE 2K24 part of that is the WrestleMania showcase where you get to play all the matches from WrestleMania history. Well, not all of them, but some of them.
Right.
And They did say that as of right now, Brock Lesnar is in the game. He's just not playable. He's going to be a computer opponent only, because I think the WrestleMania 30 with him and The Undertaker is the match they didn't want to take out.
Oh, of course. Right. So back to the men's chamber match. Looking at it now, AJ Styles comes in with the chair, and the door was left open mysteriously. Did
he come in through the door? Or did he come in through the open pod where they knocked the glass
he
out?
came through the door. When AJ Styles came in, he came in through the door when Logan Paul got eliminated.
Oh, okay. I thought he had come in through the open, because remember they kicked the glass out of the other
the one where he wrote Kevin Owens sucks, and he had the ink all over him. Yeah, when Logan Paul got eliminated, he never really left, so to speak. So that's how AJ Styles got in there. Same thing. I do believe when who was it that got pinned? Kevin Owens got pinned. Or whatever. Logan Paul didn't leave as well. The brass knuckles.
Yeah.
So it's like, now we're into this with the chamber. Do you have to have special referees at the door now to keep everybody out? Because
this is the second year in a row that Logan Paul's interfered. Because remember, he climbed into the chamber last year and used the knuckles on Seth Rollins and got him eliminated.
Yeah. I mean, looking at that chamber match, the one, I'll say, feel good moment is when Logan Paul pod lit up and Kevin Owens was right there waiting for him, like there. That was cool. He didn't wait for him to come in the ring. He wanted him in the pod to get in the pod so he could beat the shit out of him, which he did. I thought that was probably the best writing of the whole night for that match.
The call when he said Corey Graves said it was like two people getting in a fist fight in a phone booth, and then there was kind of that awkward pause where him and Michael Cole were like, half the audience probably has no idea what a phone booth is, but no, I liked that. I thought they had a great moment where LA Knight was slamming Drew McIntyre's head into the pod while Kevin Owens was pushing the glass to make it like double impact. I thought that was a great spot. There were a couple of bits commentary that I liked. Like, I give Corey Graves credit. I think he's improved dramatically over the last few years. Maybe not having Vince in his ear has made him better.
Yeah.
But yeah, the LA Knight getting eliminated by the cheap shot, I thought that was one. The crowd didn't like that. The other thing is, I mean, the LA Knight AJ Styles storyline where they're fighting over who gets to go to get Roman. I could see. I mean, that's going to be the Mania match. It looks like the one-on-one between them. But then Logan Paul attacks Randy Orton, so now you got Randy Orton and Logan Paul at Mania. Like that doesn't seem like a match that anyone was asking for. But now you've got to look at the rest of the pod, because now what do you do with Kevin Owens? What do you do with Sami Zayn? What do you do with? I mean, obviously Sami Zayn wasn't in the match. I'm just using him as an example. But you have some legit star power that seem to have no direction right now. And Mania is in 42 days. So
42 days, and this was not a PLE event. I'm going to call it pay-per-view because that's the one.
Just like everyone. This was
not the pay-per-view everybody was expecting. I want to thank everybody who's joining in. Beth Hopper's in the house. The Playmates here. Thanks for joining us. Looks like Mike Monty chatted in, said good morning. Thank you all for joining us. If you are just joining us, we are recapping right after this. I'm not watching the presser if there is one with Triple H, because there's really nothing to talk about unless they mention the lawsuits, which you probably won't comment on. You are now, Dan, you said you were writing down some of the stuff. I thought I had written some here. Somebody had mentioned during one of the matches he's dead. I'm trying to think of which match that was. Corey Graves had a great line where he goes, "Oh my God, he's dead." I'm assuming it's in the chamber match. I'm pissed off that I can't find the note that I wrote, but he said something to the fact that he's dead, and I thought that was like, Logan's dead when he went through the pod.
Yeah, when Lashley speared him through the pod.
Yeah. I was just like, I was just like, oh my God, that's a hell of a statement, for a guy who just turned 40 years old today. So
I will say speaking of Logan Paul, one of the notes that I made that confused the shit out of me. I don't know if you caught it during his entrance into the chamber.
Yeah.
One of the fans was waving a Prime Energy bottle, and Logan Paul took the gum out of his mouth and stuck it to the cap of the fan's Prime bottle. Right. And I don't know, like, to me that just feels gross and weird. I mean, not as gross and weird as drinking out of a shoe, but
Yeah, the shoey.
I mean, I get why he did it. That fighter you had mentioned not knowing that's his thing. He does that before he enters them. When he on the cage, he sits on the wall of the cage. But that moment struck me. Like I said, there were some great spots. The spear through the cage I thought was great. The where is it? But let's make sure I've got everything. Yeah. I will say, even though I hated the interference spot, I thought AJ hitting the Styles Clash on the chair looked nasty.
With the way they had the angle of the camera looked good and all that stuff. And
Orton, when he reversed the pop-up power bomb into that kind of jump down that he did before, when him and Owens were switching stunner / RKO. That was a great spot. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, there were some moments, like I said, Owens and Logan Paul doesn't look like that.
Right.
It doesn't seem like that should be over, but now he screws Orton. So is that going to be a triple threat? Like, I don't know what they're doing with that. Yeah, no, there were definitely some moments. The match quality, I can't complain about the match quality.
It was WWE match. It was a WWE match. Same spot, same move, same whatever. No surprises.
Yeah, but it goes to a lot of the criticisms I have of AEW, where you'll have just this last week on Dynamite, they had something like 6 table spots in the same show. Or no, that's 2 weeks ago. Excuse me, 6 table spots. Every chamber, because even Michael Cole, when he was like, "Oh, the 4th position," that's given us 9 winners. Which I don't think that you should remind everybody that you've had so many chamber matches, because the Royal Rumble, annual tradition, WrestleMania fun, but the chamber is supposed to be special, like a steel cage. When you start reminding people that you've had 25 chamber matches, it kind of weakens it a little bit.
Right.
But the thing is how many times in a row now? This is the 2nd year in a row Logan Paul has directly interfered. This is the what did I make? No, like 6th or 7th year in a row they've had a spear through the pod spot.
Oh yeah, that's good, because that's the only thing you can really do through the pod. There's nothing else you can do. You can't do a side neck breaker or something like that, because it's just not big enough. So the only thing you do is a spear. Someday they'll get innovative and somebody will go through the top of the pod, but that's made of steel anyways. But statistically wise, Drew pinned Ashley, Drew pinned Knight, Orton pinned KO, Orton pinned Logan Paul. And then you have, Drew and Orton last. So statistically, they both did all the pinning in this, 2 for Drew, 2 for Orton. So you kind of was like, okay, so it's going to end up Drew and Orton. I'll say this, that Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton, no doubt is a main event match. But I don't think in the chamber at their age, it was a main event match. I just think these were 2 guys that are in there to sell whatever. When we already know it's Drew McIntyre. It's his time again, even though he carried the WWE through the COVID years with winning the championship and he performed in front of nobody. I think they're going to give him his due with the, most likely win over Seth Rollins. How we get to that is going to be a little more tricky. I think Drew's going to have to, like you said, what do we got? 52 days, 42 days?
42 days.
All right, so 42 days out. That's a handful of Raw and SmackDowns, not even. So yeah, we're gonna get the Seth versus McIntyre again. I'm hoping to God it's some type of specialty match or something like that. I don't know, no outside interference, something.
Yeah, I mean, you made the. Hang on, let me pull it up here because I was typing some notes out. We've got you've got 42 days.
Yeah.
You've got Cody versus Roman. We know that.
Yeah.
You've got Seth versus Drew McIntyre. You've got Bayley and Io. You've got Rhea and Becky. And now it looks like you've got Orton in some combination with Logan Paul. You've got LA Knight and AJ Styles as of I would say.
We've already seen that, though. We've already seen that. What I mean? We have on SmackDown. We've seen LA Knight and AJ Styles. I don't get why that would be a match on Mania. Maybe on SmackDown or Raw. It was very unique that they started advertising Raw in San Jose on Monday, because these guys are getting on a flight right now to get over here in time. Right. They are a day ahead. They have Glendale, Arizona on Friday in Arizona. I mean, with SmackDown. Yeah. And The Rock's already confirmed there.
Well, so, and I think you got to look at it too, because you've got like I mentioned earlier, it seems like they're building the Judgment Day against Awesome Truth, and then Jimmy versus Jay after the Intercontinental title match. You've also still got Gunter. You don't know what they're doing. He's going to have a match.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of unknowns here.
But I mean, you've got 2 days. WrestleMania is 2 days. It's less than 2 months away. It's 42 days from now it starts. You have barely enough content to fill one show. Yeah. So I mean, you've got a lot to book in the next 42 days.
2 days. We get 2 days of Mania, right?
At least 1 or 2. I know they love the Road to WrestleMania moniker, but at least 2, maybe 3 of the Mania matches are going to feel rushed and thrown together. Right. Probably at least 1 or 2 of them aren't going to make any sense.
Yeah.
And this show did very little to inspire me to be like, damn, 42. I can't wait. Let me start marking the calendar.
I said, everybody just joining us. Thank you. A lot of people chiming in. Matthew Holland, everybody. Carlos coming in from Brazil. Thank you for joining us. I just asked him what time it is over there. My thing is, like I said it before, Dan, I'm going to keep saying it. I'll probably say it all week and on the shows that we're on. This was nothing more than a glorified SmackDown or Raw. That's all it was. There were no surprises. No, I'm not going to say big spots. I mean, Logan Paul had a good spot. Tiffany Stratton had a good spot. Expected spots. Let's put it like that. They were expected. Nia Jax, Rhea Ripley, the table didn't break, so they had to maneuver around the iPads or whatever, the monitors there, whatever they call them that they wipe out, so they had to maneuver around that. I mean, did you see the look on Nia Jax's face when she went to do the Samoan drop on Rhea Ripley and the table didn't break? I saw a quick smile from Nia.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, great. So now they're going to have to, it's 11:28 a.m. over in Brazil. Welcome, Carlos. But, you know, they had to reassign that spot. To me, I would have brawled some more to get the table cleared and possibly do a bigger spot than that. Because then again, it looked like they couldn't go off script. They had to get that spot in. And, you know, that type of avenue. I just didn't agree with it. But really speaking on the women's chamber match, I know I'm jumping all over the place here. Liv Morgan and Tiffany Stratton, I think, were the highlights. Liv Morgan had a lot to do in that match while Bianca was off to the side before her turn came. Raquel Rodriguez, I don't even know why she was in there. I know she was last minute. I would have preferred to see Chelsea Green take a beating and get thrown around and get eliminated. That would have been great. That would have been better, but more high profile than Raquel Gonzalez. But I have a feeling that a lot of this talent that was not there, we're going to see on Raw. And speaking of Raw, I miss Samantha Irvin tonight. I think she would have made a great ring announcer for this event with 52,000 plus there. Yeah. I didn't agree with Mike Rome doing every match. I thought maybe they would offset, but no Samantha Irvin. You could tell there was no introductions, and you just missed that.
Yeah, you know? the unique inflection that she puts on everybody's name.
Yep. I just don't like. There's a lot of things I didn't like about this, but then again, when the pay-per-view started, I was up at 3 a.m. They're doing their predictions and all that stuff, and the Kabuki Wars come out. It was daylight. I hate that because to me it just feels like it's like going to that matinee movie. It's not going to be exciting. It's just a filler. It's just something to throw in there. Match, the Kabuki Warriors versus Andy Hartwell and
right.
Ray. I don't know what that was for. To me, I think on the inside of it was a match to, okay, let's get the TV views down. Let's get the spots right. Let's get the angles right. This is what it's going to be like during nighttime. So they kind of did that stuff, to get everybody ready. I just didn't agree with that match. The Kabuki Warriors, great. To me, I don't know. What do you think in the women's tag team is actually going to challenge the Kabuki Wars in a serious way, not just a filler way?
Honestly, I don't know, because you built up, there's several teams, be it the NXT overlap. You've got some upcoming talent. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of throw together like a eight person, 4-team match,
something like that.
Just to kind of fill, because notice they love doing the multi-man, multi-woman matches to kind of give everybody a payday.
TV time, right? Yeah, to get their time. And Natalia will team up with somebody and things like that.
Exactly.
I mean, Chelsea Green and Dewdrop or Piper Niven. I don't see why they can't go back at it. You know, who were the other tag team champs? Katana. I call them the KK girls. The former champs from NXT. This is how bad the women's division is. You forget their names. It's horrible. But like I said, you get a Chelsea Green who is out there on social media. You get those kind of. I'd rather have seen Chelsea Green in the chamber as opposed to Raquel Gonzalez, because Raquel's been out for a while. We know she had a bad skin condition there. I don't know if you've seen social media. She was hurting really bad. She put a video out. It is great that she's back. I'm glad that she's healthy. But her being in that event made no sense, because there she is beating the shit out of her old tag team partner, Liv Morgan.
Right.
And I'm like, wait a second here. These guys were tag champs. They actually lost the belts together, you know? And I'm a Liv Morgan fan. I do believe that, she's won the title before. She's cashed in and all that with Money in the Bank. I do believe that they're not using her correctly. I'd like to see her in more main event matches. I'm glad she was in the chamber. I'm glad Tiffany Stratton was in the chamber. It is Tiffy time. I think she's the next Charlotte Flair.
You're gonna end up hanging a picture of Tiffy next to your sky blue.
No, I liked her in NXT. She's a former U.S. gymnastics, so she's got that athletic ability, but she's definitely has that it factor. Especially when I saw that video on Instagram of her walking back from the ring. Some guy yelled at her, "You suck." And she goes, not kiss my ass, eat my ass. She said that right to him. And everybody was like, that was a great comeback for that guy. Cause that guy was all over, it was just, I got tremendous respect for her in that aspect, even though she was in character mode. By the way, she has been a longtime boyfriend of, what's his name from Imperium. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Kaiser Wilhelm.
The other one.
Ludwig Kaiser.
Ludwig Kaiser. See, I forget their names when I'm on the air. Ludwig Kaiser. Their boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah, they've been together for a long time.
Right. So it's like, that's cool and all that, but she's going to be the next Charlotte Flair. I think Charlotte Flair even was complimented / hurt by that, because Charlotte would say that, so-and-so was my idol or whatever. And, that idol is supposed to be the elder statesman. Right. And Charlotte doesn't want to feel old. So I see a Tiffy versus Charlotte thing. I could see a passing of the torch later on down the line type scenario. So we're going to see a lot more Tiffany Stratton. Whatever. I think who'd she get eliminated by? I had it written down. Tiffy got eliminated by
she got
Liv Morgan pinned Tiffy.
Liv hit the her modified flatliner.
That'd be a good match for SmackDown. You know what I mean? You're going to get these matches on SmackDown. Oh, you did this to me. That's a good match on SmackDown, I believe, or Raw. But Tiffy time is on SmackDown, and the fans were behind Tiffy. They chanted for her. They were the most alive during that match with Tiffany Stratton, and they made it known. Because I didn't hear any more significant boos after that. They were pissed when Tiffy time got pinned by Liv Morgan in the chamber. And, but Raquel Gonzalez being in that match made absolutely no sense to me. So I just don't, I didn't agree with that.
She was the Bobby Lashley. I almost feel like she was don't get me wrong. I respect her talent, and she came back from injury. She apparently was supposed to have a Rumble set up, but that was kind of maybe this is the consolation prize. Sorry, you weren't cleared in time for the Rumble. But no, I think maybe that was supposed to be the Charlotte spot. Then, who knows?
Yeah.
But you've got some build up. You could always have, Liv and Raquel kind of make amends and then be your next challengers, because they're both over.
Real quickly, another shocker was Liv pinning Bianca. I was shocked at that. I was like, whoa, okay, what's up with that? Because I think it was right after Bianca pinned Raquel, Liv grabbed Bianca and pinned her right away. It was like that quick bang bang again. I was like, wow, okay, Liv Morgan's getting a real push here. I mean, that's a huge thing. Liv pinning Bianca Belair. I mean, Bianca Belair is supposed to be the EST right now of the women's division.
Wait a minute. Hang on. I'm gonna have to, if you look in the chat right now, I'm gonna call you out. We were talking about time. You said you made your own coffee this morning. Apparently that was a lie. What's up with that?
What are you talking about? I'd be good tired. I was up at 3 a.m. for matches. Yeah, I didn't make my coffee.
You said I was up making coffee. You said you made your own coffee.
Where at 3 a.m.?
Well, you said when you got up for the show, you said I had to get up and make coffee.
No, yeah, you plug it in. That's all you do. Coffee's pre-made, brother. I do it before I go to bed. But Baby Cakes did get my coffee for me. Technically, I did make it the night before.
Oh, okay.
So we want to get technical here, but Baby Cakes, yes. Baby Cakes did go downstairs because we were upstairs. She did give me some refills, so that was good. But I did make technically the coffee. She plugged it in and brought it up for me, and that's how it works.
Technically,
we're a unit. We're a unit here at Maple Street Studios. We're a unit here. Thanks to everybody joining us. This is great. I assume everybody's just chiming in now because you're either waking up on this beautiful Saturday morning. I've been up at 3 a.m. Dan, what time did you get up?
I got up right before 5. So
okay, so it was 5 o'clock your time. So yeah, I'm in the Midwest. Everybody, I'm in Iowa, so I'm an hour behind everybody on East Coast. So the pre-show that started at 4 a.m. Eastern time really started at 3 a.m. my time. So I've been up since 3 a.m. I feel like that's a Matchbox 20 song, but that's 2 a.m. right?
Yeah.
So
no, you were right the first time.
Mountain time. That's the time. Let's real quickly. Let's go back to the Women's World Championship match, Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. We were talking about Rhea Ripley's outfit. I know some of these guys weren't on yet, but Rhea Ripley's outfit, I called it scantily clothed. They really couldn't show all of her outfit because certain pinfalls and pinfall attempts were very provocative, to say the least.
Yeah,
these shots are going to be shown on Instagram and social media down the line. What is it with Rhea Ripley in these outfits? Is there something
you can see the difference? You can see the difference between how the camera tries to hide certain things versus your girl in the back there. If it was a cameraman for a Sky Blue match, we would have had many different angles.
The Queen of ECW? Okay.
Talking about your Sky Blue picture back there.
Oh, the Sky Blue. Yeah, I actually put that there for Monty. He's a big fan of Sky Blue. That's strictly for Monty right there.
Anybody that's ever seen a Sky Blue match, the cameraman has very specific instructions. So if that had been that cameraman, the angles would have been much different.
Well, Sky Blue has always commented and say, nobody recognizes me with clothes on.
Yeah,
so, you know what I mean? So
I think all punchlines aside, I think Rhea is doing exactly what she needs to do. She knows she's supposed to be a heel, but everyone loves her anyway. She's like one of the most.
Well, she's in Australia, right?
Yeah. She's going to dress and act and carry herself exactly like I'm the best, and I know it would, and that includes outfits that highlight your strengths. So I give 100% credit for them greenlighting her look because I could see people question. I mean, she's never gonna be able to wear that at a Saudi show, but I could see somebody in the back going, "Ooh, do we want to put that on TV?" No, you have to give her that look because if she came out in a regular singlet or in a different kind of attire, it wouldn't carry the mantra. She has to have that kind of.
Well, she's wrestled in that kind with attire before.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Rhea Ripley is no doubt doing what she needs to do. Her feud with Charlotte during the COVID years. She was kind of full, she had shorts on.
Well, remember Rhea used to wrestle in pants.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, since the Judgment Day and all that stuff, she's gotten bigger. She's gotten better. I've noticed, and Baby Cakes noticed too, because we watch this very intently. She's lost weight in the right areas. She's not as bulky as she used to be. She's still muscular. Don't get me wrong. She could probably beat my ass. She is an unbelievable bodybuilder. She's with the weights, but I could tell her curves are more noticeable now. Like she's lost weight. She's toned down. She's not ginormous like she used to. And I'll say the same with Nia Jax. There's no doubt Nia Jax has lost a few pounds. I'm not sure if these girls are on the Ozempic diet or not. But you got to be careful with the Ozempic diet because you lose muscle instead of fat on that. So, but I've noticed significantly that they have toned down. They bulked up in the right areas and toned down in the right areas as well. So, Rhea Ripley, very provocative outfit tonight. Very, I don't know, noticeable. I mean, you know, they're gonna look at it. Okay, where was the big views of the night? You know, you're gonna see this all over Instagram. I'm not the only one talking about this.
No,
You're
you're
gonna see
right.
it all over social media. You know, I was shocked at the beginning that she was slapping the shit out of Nia Jax on her boobs. I mean, she was really whacking the hell out of her, and I was shocked at that. Like that. Okay, so this is going to be the match now. They're both going to whack each other off. That didn't sound right, but nonetheless,
That's kind of better in your head, huh?
But Nia had some good falls. She took some good bumps. She rolled around the ring pretty good. I thought so, but like I said, the table spot was weak. That you know when she did the second jump on Rhea, it was an elbow drop. And I didn't know it was an elbow drop until they did the replay and said it was an elbow drop. I thought she just jumped on her to break the table to get that effect. And that table spot, again, was not the reaction from the crowd. I mean, they got some boos and all that, but nowhere near the, oh, my God, she's dead type of thing. We didn't get that with this table spot in the whole match. And the whole event was like that. So it was kind of, you know, I don't know. I gave it like I said, a solid B. A solid B for that match. I thought I think everybody in that match, Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax, they both came out and did what they had to do. And I'm shocked that Nia got the loss. I think Nia was supposed to be somewhat involved in WrestleMania, whether or not she will be or not, because this whole 6-week buildup of annihilating everybody and then telling Becky that I have Rhea at Mania. Like, okay, but you got a pay-per-view to go through first.
Right.
But let's fast forward. Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Becky is not built like she used to be.
Right.
She's very slimmed down now. I don't see how this match could be marketable in that aspect. I know it's the man versus Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley's on a run right now that I don't know. Is this a passing of the torch match? You think at Mania?
Honestly, I think Rhea goes over the same way she did with Charlotte. Becky's got nothing left to prove. Not, you know,
Right.
and Becky wouldn't suffer the loss. What surprised me with the Nia Jax loss was how clean it was. Yes, you had the table spot. Rhea goes, I expected some kind of, you know, exposed turnbuckle gone wrong, something that gives Nia an out. But Rhea just muscled her. 1-2, you know, that shoulder spot in the corner when she slammed her face, kicking out of the bonsai drop.
Yeah.
You know, it was the right outcome. Rhea should have won that match. I agree. But
real quickly on that bonsai spot, she really went down on her. She really
Nia has a bad habit of doing that.
But she didn't. She wasn't out towards the pelvic area where there's more of a drop.
No. Nia lands on the sternum. She goes
like almost on her thighs. She usually lands on that, and the camera angle shows that it's a big deal. But that camera angle they shown, I'm assuming that spot was planned. She really jumped on her chest. She landed on her chest there, like she went down. And I was like, okay, that was a real she's not kicking out type thing. And boom, she did kick out. And I'm like, okay, so definitely Rhea Ripley's going to win this match after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So real quickly, I know everybody's chiming in. Real quickly, everybody in the chats here, just tell us, give us a grade overall on the pay-per-view, A to F. I'm so far, I think I got a B all the way across the line here. The men's match, totally expected. Drew McIntyre with the win. Obviously, the Kabuki Warriors in the pre-show, they got the win. Women's Chamber, of course, Becky gets the win. I think the big surprise again, Tiffy time. I'm going to keep saying it, Tiffy time, Tiffy time, Tiffy time. The Grayson Waller effect. Let's get back to that real quick. Dead. Very anticlimactic and a lot of do about nothing. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, my grade for the show was a B as well. B plus if you're in a good mood. Right. But yeah, the Grayson Waller effect felt flat to me, just in the sake of nothing. Okay, Cody's mad at The Rock. That is, we knew that already. Nothing new came from that segment. Right. And the fact that this is the road to WrestleMania. This is your last big show before Mania, and you don't have The Rock and Roman come out. Really felt like a wasted opportunity.
Right.
And it just
I did too. Yeah. I did too. And that I think The Rock and Roman not coming out, not even making the trip for that matter, totally downplayed the Grayson Waller effect. looking back on it now, as we keep talking about it, it was strictly for the Australian audience, for Grayson Waller. Because if you notice, when Austin Theory got the big stomp from Seth, he just kind of, Cody looked at him and he just sat back on the ropes. He wanted nothing to do with it, because if he got involved, it totally downplays his Australian popularity.
Yeah.
So, now I'm looking back on him. We're talking about, I think definitely he is, it was just, the Grayson Waller effect was just that. It was just for Grayson Waller, and that's it. He could have had anybody else on that show tonight, and it wouldn't have mattered. They wouldn't have got the same reaction. The crowd was disappointed when The Rock and Roman didn't come out.
It didn't have to be the Grayson Waller effect either. That could have been, Cody cutting a promo in the ring with Byron Saxton.
That's all they had to do. Yeah, they could have done that and got a better response. They didn't need to decorate the ring. And I kind of knew when they started showing Austin Theory, I knew he was in Australia because he had an altercation with a reporter there on Thursday when they got there, and he had to be separated. I don't know if that was a work or whatever, but there was a lot of scuttlebutt about that. It made the papers down there because they got called out about if wrestling's real or fake. Again, I don't know if that was on the heels of the David Schultz slap with John Stossel that we talked about last night, 39 years ago. That happened, by the way, if you're watching. I know a lot of guys in the chat did. B-, Baby Cakes called it a B- is because the crowd went silent a few times. I hate that. Yeah, when you're watching these pay-per-views, I'm still going to call it a pay-per-view. When you're watching these pay-per-views, yes, when the crowd goes silent, it affects the viewership at home because you're like, what happened? And on the other side of that, Dan, did you notice that when something was going on in the ring, the crowd was cheering for something that was, I don't know if it was a delayed thing with WWE in their viewer in the way they were doing the pay-per-view, but I felt like somebody was coming out, like, oh, someone's coming in the ring, like during a match, not during the AJ Styles or the Logan Paul thing. I'm talking about like I think it was during the Pete Dunne Tyler Bate Judgment Day match. They're in the ring, and all of a sudden the crowd cheers. Like for no reason, they were somebody was going to come out, and I thought something was going to happen.
It almost seemed like they like the old adage with the beach ball or the somebody in the crowd getting into a fight. There was at least one moment where the crowd was noticeably cheering or distracted by something that wasn't happening in the ring. Right. And I'm wondering if it was like you said, it was it had to have been something, obviously not interference, but I'm wondering if it was like a beach ball or just sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. I thought somebody was going to come out. Yeah.
Sometimes you've seen it before. The crowd will get, I don't want to say bored, but the crowd gets bored. I've heard chants for let's go Peanut Guy and Soda Man and obviously
like Montreal the day after Raw, things like that. They got their own thing going on. You know what I mean? So it wouldn't even matter until something matters. And I think that's what happened here. Talking with Stewie over in the UK. I don't know if you know Stewie's Wrestling Podcast. I don't know if you hear that, Dan, but Stewie's a great guy. I talked to him during this thing, and he was like so adamant that they need a WrestleMania or a big thing back over at Wembley again because that crowd is more ecstatic than the Aussie crowd.
Yeah,
and I've noticed the Aussie crowd, their chants are loud but short. We want so-and-so, and that's it. It doesn't go on forever. Seth Rollins, again, had to tell the crowd how to sing his song because they were out of sync when he came on the Grayson Waller effect. It was weird. I know it's 52,000, but most crowds know how to do that, so to speak. I think the Australia crowd was definitely different. I'm not watching the post-press match that usually happens afterwards. I usually watch that, but tonight there was no reason for me to.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Triple H is going to come out.
Attention.
Triple H is going to come out and say the same thing. We had a great crowd tonight. We broke X amount of records. We broke it. Of course, you broke records. You haven't been to Australia in years, so yeah, you're going to break the attendance record. You're going to pay you're going to say you generated this amount of money for the economy or whatever. He's going to say all the things that he's supposed to say because he's a businessman, so to speak.
Right,
and that's it. And he'll take a couple of questions. Do you think what's going to happen next? He's not going to give nothing away. My question for him, would have been, what about the Ashley Mazzaro thing? Because Stephanie McMahon was called out on that show by Ashley Mazzaro's so-called best friend. Mm-hmm. Stephanie McMahon was in the room when Ashley Mazzaro was talking about the rape that occurred back in 2007 during this deposition. She's not named in that, but they, the best friend said that Ashley said that. That's a big thing that hit the internet this week. Of course, the lawsuit thing, he's just going to say we're going to concentrate on the positives. But the questions that need to be asked by Triple H at this point is, if I was there, I'd be like, were you disappointed with the crowd response? Because they're there to entertain. He even said, if we're here because of you, thank you. He thanked the crowd, 52,000. I go, yeah, they should thank us because we're watching on TV. We pay for Peacock. The crowd probably paid an X amount of dollars to get in there. Of course, he's going to thank you, but what's next? I feel like there's just something missing in this pay-per-view that didn't say, because even when Rhea Ripley won, I'm waiting for that next contender to come out and say, I want a piece of you or whatever. Or Becky Lynch could have came out and said, okay, here's your matchup for WrestleMania. Right. You know what I mean? We didn't get that. We got her celebrating with her parents, half naked with her mother and father in the front row and all that stuff. And that's great. That's a feel-good moment. Again, another glorified SmackDown is what I'm calling this premium live event, because honestly, I didn't get the vibe that this was a premium live event, except for the fact that it was on Peacock, and I got less commercials than I would on Raw and SmackDown. You know what I mean? What do you think, Dan?
You nailed it on the head, hit the nail on the head there. Like I said, B show, B grade. Yep. While I get the Chamber has to be a pay-per-view, it didn't have as big of oomph feel. And I think it was even worse because this was the go-home pay-per-view before WrestleMania. This should have been a show where they pulled out all the stops and everybody is online talking, oh my God, I cannot wait for Mania now. And I haven't seen a single word of that from anybody.
Yeah. People in the chats, Joe Myers, she was surprised that Triple H or Paul Levesque came out just for a couple of minutes to announce the 52,000 strong, and that was it. There was nothing else said. I think he felt this. I think he knew, he's smart enough to know that this crowd wasn't into it and it wasn't fun. What else we got here? B- again. Yep. I thought Nia was going to smash Ripley through the table for sure. Yep. Clean finish. I didn't get it. Rhea looks amazing. The match gave us crowd chants, my hole, but no other spot got that. I mean, again, crowd not into it. When the crowd's not into it, Dan, it makes a huge difference, because it's almost like you're watching back to the COVID days when, there was just silence. I know the WWE probably could have chimed in the audience better or made their own crowd sound effects, but I honestly feel that they expected this crowd to be hot, on fire from start to finish, and they weren't. What do you read? You reading anything good?
I mean, I'm laughing at the my whole chant because it's funny that's one little blip, a few second clip will be Nia's defining career moment.
And that was from a few years ago too. My whole, my whole. I just don't, look. As we talk about it now, we're about an hour off of what happened at the ending. I'm just disappointed, really. Not for the fact that I got up at 3 a.m. to study this pay-per-view. I'm just overall disappointed that they would put a premium live event like this, not only for the U.S. fans at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Eastern time, but the fans in Australia were watching on TV as well. So, outside of the 52,000 people that were there, you had X amount of people. I don't know what the numbers are. We'll get those later on. They had to have been disappointed for what they saw. And I think the number one reason, and I'm going to say it again, is because The Rock and Roman didn't show up, because you had Seth and Cody fly over. Why couldn't you have The Rock and Roman fly over? This to me sounds like they already gave up on their premium live event for some reason. Maybe it's because in Australia. Maybe it's the time zone. Maybe they did this on purpose. I don't know. But you spend all this money to put on this show, and I'll take a page out of Vince McMahon's book. You always leave the fans going home happy. Yeah, Rhea Ripley won. That was the main event. But I think that was just strictly to appease the Australian audience. But they knew in the back of their minds they didn't get their money's worth. they wanted The Rock and Roman Reigns there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, especially some of the crowd shots. There were some seriously awkward view. I mean, the chamber's hard to watch live anyway.
Right.
But there were some obstructive. Imagine paying a few $1,000s for a half obstructed ticket, and that's the card you get. Like I said, my thing is, I'm not going to say it was a bad show. It
wasn't a bad show.
I would even think it was better than like you said. I would say it's better than your average Raw, but nothing, zero about this show made me go, holy shit! I absolutely have. I wish Mania was tomorrow.
Right.
You know, yes, okay, Becky and Rhea. I mean, Drew and Seth is going to be great because honestly, I'm thinking Drew wins the title, and then when CM Punk comes back healthy, he goes after Drew, and that's a feud I'd love to see.
That's a great synopsis, but again, been there, done that. Been there, done that.
Yeah, this
Rhea versus Becky. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the Rhea versus Becky. It's two big names. Don't get me wrong, but athletic wise, size wise, I mean, really. You know that Rhea Ripley, in any real context outside of the WWE, if these two were fighting in the cage at a UFC match, Rhea Ripley would just tear the living hell out of Becky Lynch. We know that. And I know on the WWE side, it's more or less, the man versus Rhea Ripley. I just don't see the physical matchup. Rhea Ripley is just too big of an athlete compared to Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
No, I agree. Especially like I said, post baby Becky is noticeably smaller. I mean, she's more fit, but she is noticeably smaller.
It's that Ozempic diet, man. I'm telling you, they're all on it. They're all on it.
Now, I give her credit for that. I will say, but you also have to say the same thing. I mean, Seth Rollins is by no means an unfit man. He could kick my ass. He's definitely, but you put him in the ring with Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre looks like he's going to rip Seth Rollins in half and beat him to death with his own legs. Like, but I mean, unfortunately, this will be the third time that they've had the title match. Now, granted, it's first time it's full heel Drew, so that might be different. But I'm not. This pay-per-view didn't overly excite me to go to Mania. I have a gut feeling I'm going to leave Monday Night Raw here in 2 days more excited for Mania than I am right now.
Yeah, I think that's the case because you said 42 days. Okay, so we're looking at March, 2 shows a week, 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 8 shows to build up 2 nights of WrestleMania, by the way, April 1st and April 2nd. I mean, if I bought tickets to WrestleMania right now, I'd be scratching my head because I'd give up on night 1. I don't see where night 1's going unless they throw, because we saw it in the Grayson Waller effect, Cody, Seth versus Rock and Roman on the first night. Unless they throw that match in there on day 1 before the Cody Reigns match, I'd be excited for that. If I got tickets to WrestleMania now on day 1, I'd be kind of disappointed. Seth versus McIntyre. I'm not saying it's going to be a bad match. We've seen it before. WrestleMania is supposed to be the glorified event of the year. It's the beginning and ending of storylines, so to speak, because a lot of storylines end at WrestleMania when storylines begin. And we're going to see none of that. Night 1, we're going to see B-plus matches, tops, unless something historic happens. When Triple H said it last week, Perth is going to change the course of WrestleMania. I think we went off course. I think we hit a rest stop with the Australian pay-per-view. That's what I honestly feel that happened. I don't see it. I don't see how night one at WrestleMania is going to do anything that night. What do you think? Night one.
I mean, it really depends on how they build it up, but honestly, night 1, the main event's going to be either Rollins and McIntyre.
Yeah.
I think the main event of night 1 should be Bayley and Io. She won the Rumble. She should be a main event, not middle of the card match that people kind of bury. But I personally, at this point, night 1's going to be The Rock and Roman, or excuse me, the Rock and Cody. And only if Cody wins does he get Roman night 2, kind of like they did with Daniel Bryan and Triple H,
I still think that Mike Tyson WrestleMania 14 is in effect here. I think The Rock on night 2 will help Cody Rhodes win. They've been in it all along since that hug when Cody stepped aside and said, someone wants my advisor, whatever he called it, my consultant. I forget what he said. He said the guy he's been getting advice from, and then The Rock comes out and they hug and Cody leaves. And then, the next week we got the smack, and all that stuff. I think that's all planned. I think it's reminiscent of Stone Cold and Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson sides with DX all the way. I was there in Boston when Tyson knocked out Shawn Michaels after the match. I was there when Tyson jumped in the ring and counted to 3 first for Stone Cold, and he ripped off his shirt and he had the Austin 316 on there. I just think this is the Rock's way. It's a glorified way. I also think if they do a tag team match on night 1, something's gonna go to that effect. Where Cody and The Rock are in cahoots, and it's going to make the bloodline thing twice. But another main event that I think night 1 could possibly be is Jimmy versus Jey Uso. That has the potential to tell a story, so to speak, on night 1. If I bought a ticket to WrestleMania, of course I'm going to go to both nights, but night 1 is not going to be that I got to get there on time type thing. I got to get in my seat before the first match. I'm not seeing the excitement for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think, honestly, at this point, I think they throw every cent they have to bring Austin and have him get involved. Right. The Rock selling especially evil heel Rock, have him sell one last stunner. Right. But really, night 2, Cody Roman.
Oh yeah,
that's the match everybody wants. That's the big one. I'm curious to see what they do with Gunther. I'm sure he'll have a phenomenal match with whoever they put him in the ring with. Because that was apparently the original plan was supposed to be Gunther and Lesnar.
I think it's somebody else now. Who's I forget who it is. They also said Ludwig Kaiser might make a turn and he'd fight him, but I don't see that happening in 4 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know.
Too quick. That is way too quick.
I think they've got enough in place to make a decent weekend, but now's, like I said,
they do.
Now's the point where you've barely got.
There's no storyline.
Got half a day booked permanently. You got 42 days to book probably another 7, 8, 9 matches. Plus the pre-show is usually 2 hours.
But you have you have no storylines though.
Well, I don't even know if they've. I don't even know if they are going to do the battle royals this year, the Andre and women's battle royal matches.
Well, that's usually for who's not in the event.
Yeah, that's the filler for whoever's left. But if we remember people like Cesaro and the Big Show and Matt Hardy,
Baron Corbin was the inaugural winner. Baron Corbin, I remember that. He beat John Moxley, threw him over the top rope to win the inaugural Andre the Giant Battle Royal some years back.
Everybody that's won those, like I said, Corbin, Cesaro, Big Show when he beat Mizdow. They've gone nowhere. It's meant nothing. Women's same thing. It's the filler it's the biggest star that's not on the card.
You also got to fill in the factor of NXT talent coming over to play a role, even though they have the pay-per-view that day, somewhere in Dallas or whatever it is that they have. They'll have their pay-per-view during the day. And, Braun Breaker now is on Raw, right? Is it Raw or SmackDown? He signed with SmackDown.
Braun Breaker's on SmackDown. Yes, sir.
And he's a tag champion with Baron Corbin. That storyline's messed up to me now because if he's with SmackDown, where are you? That could be the storyline for NXT, whether he leaves NXT. I don't know, but.
Well, he had his debut match last night.
Right. He's on SmackDown, but he's the NXT tag champ with Baron Corbin. So I really have no idea where that storyline is going to go. Is he going to do double duty? Yeah, it's kind of impossible depending on where SmackDown is every week. That's a different story for another time. I get it. But Braun Breaker will be in there. What I'm trying to get at, outside the bloodline and, Cody and all that and Seth Rollins, there's no storylines. Right. You now have 4 weeks, including this Friday and this Monday. I'll say 5 weeks. So that's 4 episodes apiece to build up storylines that are going to get people to tune into night 1 or to WrestleMania. Besides the bloodline, we know we got The Rock coming up on Friday in Glendale, Arizona. What about Monday night? Who's going to show up Monday night? I've yet to see Roman Reigns come on Monday Night Raw during this whole sequence. I think they need to build up Monday Night Raw as well because I don't know if you noticed, Raw had some good viewership last week. They should capitalize on that. I think they had the highest demo and the highest. I think they almost hit 2 million. I think they were over at 2 million at another point. So you got to capitalize on that, especially with WrestleMania season. They got to do something with that. Thanks for reminding me, Matt Hall. NXT Stand and Deliver. Yep, that's the name of it.
Oh, good call. Yeah,
in Philly. Excuse me. I said Dallas. I had AT&T Stadium on the mind.
I was going to say everything. The Hall of Fame, which is another one. I haven't seen any Hall of Fame inductions yet.
I mentioned that last night. Last night. Yeah.
Everything that they're doing for WrestleMania weekends, all in Philly. So
yeah, I honestly, now that we're talking about it, they're going to shove everything down our throat real quick. They're going to put us in a tizzy because you're going to have so many boom, boom, boom. Like you said, Gunther. Who's going to fight Gunther?
Yeah, you have 40. Hang on, let me pull it up. You have 42 days.
Yeah,
42 days. You have to book the Intercontinental title match, the United States title match, the Unified Tag title match, the Women's Tag title match.
Right.
You have possibly two Battle Royals ? All Hall of Fame inductions. Secondary storylines involving Jimmy, Jay, Sammy, Kevin, etc. Numerous talent that should be on the card. So I made a note. You have 4 title matches, about 7 to 10 regular matches, and all your Hall of Fame inductions. You have to build these storylines and book all these matches, and you have 42 days to do it. You are going to have some busy TV programming, and I would not be surprised if there's some WrestleMania matches that bleed over into getting booked through NXT, like Braun Breaker, or somebody getting involved in an NXT angle, because you're just going to run out of Raw and SmackDown TV time.
I'm just counting. I do apologize. It's 10. If I go 6th and 7th is Mania. So you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 shows between Raw and SmackDown. I'm not counting NXT. 12 shows. That's 6 and 6 apiece. 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown each week. Do the math on that. So they're going to be shoving storylines down our throat. Some storylines aren't even built. Let's take Gunther, for example. He's going to have to build that storyline up, whoever he faces there. I forget who it was that was supposed to be a really good competitor for Gunther. Geez, I had it on my head. Somebody who would be a good matchup for him. I mean, I don't know. I'm at a standstill here because his pay-per-view is not what we thought it was going to be. I was going to come on this show and say, oh my God, I can't believe the Rock and Roman Reigns showed up, or I can't believe somebody else showed up and says, I'm going to get you. Christ, I would have loved to see Conor McGregor answer the call from last week's Raw. And so, but, I just don't understand the mentality here. I think WWE used this as a measuring stick for their Australia audience, what they could do, what they can't do, and really did nothing to build up WrestleMania. It's great that we saw all the WrestleMania commercials going to Philadelphia, which leads me to believe that they might not be sold out yet, right? I don't think we have a sellout yet.
It depends on how they set the arena up. They may have tacked on some more tickets.
Yeah, I want to say 40,000, 50 is the max at Philly with the way that's set up. I don't know if they've sold out yet because we would have heard it by now.
MetLife Stadium, it's a football field. If you put the ring in the middle, you could probably cram 80, 90,000 people into that building.
You mean Philly? We're in Philly.
Yeah. Oh, I said MetLife. I'm sorry. I meant
you scared me for a second. Like, is it in New York again?
No. I said
Charlotte going to show up in a helicopter again? Charlotte going to show up in a helicopter again at MetLife? No. Yeah, it's at Philly. I want to say it was 40,000 tops they can get in there with the arena. I mean, with the way they set it up with the ring. The ring's obviously going to be, I'll say the 40-yard line.
According to the official numbers, if for a football game, Lincoln Financial can fit 67,594.
Okay, so
if you put a ring in there, you probably tack on another 20,000 fans. You're probably pushing 15, 20,000. You're probably pushing in 80 plus.
Yeah, I don't think they're near that number yet. They want to get to that number, but they're not there yet because we're still. If they were at that number, Michael Cole will be shoving it down our throat that it's sold out and you can't get tickets. I think right now they're pushing. Well, we saw a bunch of Philadelphia commercials, WrestleMania, all that stuff. Now there was a big story out this week that Sylvester Stallone was going to come on and do something at WrestleMania, but now I'm seeing online that there's some scheduling conflict, so that might not happen. I really think that WrestleMania is that show of shows. It's a Super Bowl of sports entertainment, so to speak. You can do all those cliches. It's a showcase of the immortals. We still don't have that entertainment factor. Who's singing the national anthem? Who's going to show up? We first had Sylvester Stallone that was possibly going to make it. Now he's not. Now they're saying he has a scheduling conflict. You're in the city of brotherly love. That would have been a great, great thing. I mean, at this point, you might as well get what's his name, Dolph Lundgren, to get over there. But he didn't fight in Philly. He fought over on the West Coast, and he beat Apollo Creed, and Apollo Creed passed away a couple of weeks ago. So, Carl Weathers, rest in peace. But we are at 6 weeks out. Technically, you have Easter in on that as well. I don't know where to go from here. This pay-per-view, again, it was not what I thought it was going to be. The matches were good. I'm not going to say they were bad. There were no high-profile spots. There were a couple of good bumps, Logan Paul, notably Tiffany Stratton, but they were expected spots. I was really expecting Logan Paul to pull off the master of something, whether it was going off the top of the chamber, just something crazy, but we didn't get that. I don't know why Logan Paul, we kind of know why now he was in there, but there was no reason for a U.S. champion to be in an elimination chamber match where the winner is going to face the champion at WrestleMania, Seth Rollins. There was no reason for it to begin with. I get that he's in it now, and you got AJ Styles coming in. I think some storylines are going to be built off that, but again, we've been there, we've done that. I just Seth and Drew, we've been there, we've done that. And the other one is if they do LA Knight and AJ Styles. I mean, that was all over SmackDown last year. We've been there, we've done that. How many times are they going to go to the well? You know what I mean? Are they going to the well one too many times? Yes, that is a Gorilla Monsoon reference. But I don't know. What do you think?
I completely agree. For the most part, I mean, I think they could still pull a rabbit out. This wouldn't be the first time I've said I'm not sure about the booking for Mania, and then enjoyed Mania weekend. So,
Sure.
They could do it, but not like I said, I really can't stress enough that this show did so little to make me salivate to the thought of what's going to come next.
Yeah, I got nothing there. I got nothing for it except it overall B, and that's just strictly on the match level. I think all the matches were good. They weren't off the wall or Jesus Christ moments and all that stuff. I didn't get that. Like you said, you didn't get that. Shit, I got to watch WrestleMania now. Maybe they knew because it was 6 weeks out. I don't know. A measuring stick for the Australia audience. I think that's what it was for. I'm guessing at this point, more storylines obviously need to be made, which will be made. I don't know where to go. I will tune in to Raw because I do the Raw recap on Tuesday mornings. Mm-hmm. I will tune in. I hope to see some type of surprise. I hope to see something. I think we're going to get more Bailey EO on Raw. I think we're going to see more of that now. We're going to have the Damage Control storyline because that video came out yesterday, or I don't know if it was SmackDown or whatever. Her and Dakota Kai talking. Still, she doesn't know where Dakota Kai stands. Yeah, so we're going to have something on that element.
I think that whole thing with her, I was attacked backstage. I think that's just building up to her not actually being hurt and turning on Bailey. But
I mean, she was great. What was that? What was it? War Games? I forget what it was when NXT when she Dakota Kai super kicked. What's her name? It was great. I remember filming that. Who was it? Tegan Nox. I think she super kicked or somebody really knocked her out. What's the match where they're in the cage and they get released?
Yeah, War Games.
War Games. It was War Games. Okay, so that match, I think it was NXT. Dakota Kai super kicked her, her own team. That's when she turned, and it was like, okay, that was a good storyline there. But yeah, Dakota Kai can play that. I'm on your side. I'm trying to get on your side. Now that I'm on your side, she'll turn. She's really good at that. So yeah, you're probably right with the Bailey aspect of it all, because again, Bailey's already been there. She's already been champion. Who else in the mix could you put in there? I mean, I know it's too early for Tiffany Stratton, but we're talking about WrestleMania. And, Bailey's got 6 weeks to promote this Io Sky thing with her. So, what do? You need that sub storyline. I think Dakota Kai is obviously going to be that sub storyline for that. So,
yeah, you got to have something.
Yeah. All right, I think we talked enough, Dan. What do you think?
I think we did. This is a great time. I'm glad I was thinking maybe an hour. I'm glad we went over because we did have a lot to say. And, I probably had more fun talking to you than I did watching the show tonight. But
no shit. I hear you. That was great talking to you too as well. Real quickly, you're on tonight. You guys are doing another follow-up recap to the recap, right?
I as of now, I will not be on the evening show, but there's, and hopefully, I mean, we still got the press conference. There's backstage news. So there a lot of stuff's going to come out between now and the evening show. These guys are going to have a lot of good stuff to talk about. So check them out. But as of right now, I won't be there, but you never know. Plans can change. I might show up with the briefcase and take Benny's spot or something. I don't know.
There you go. And of course, the press conference and the backstage news will make more of news than the actual pay-per-view, which is kind of sad. I'm sure the press didn't reveal anything that we haven't heard already. I'm going to watch it, of course, to see if whatever was asked. But it's, those guys the people in the audience are plants. The questions that, it's just like Joe Biden. The questions have already predetermined and all that stuff. So
yeah, I've always, at least WWE, it's guys and girls that look real. It always humors me with the AEW press conference when they're like, "You sir," and the guy stands up and he's like, "Yeah, Tony, I'm John Smith from John'sWrestlingBlog.com." Like, how the hell did half of you get press passes?
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, I got a press pass from AEW. I get the things. I don't go to it, but. It is what it is.
Man, their standards must be really low then.
Yeah, there you go. The AEW, the WWE, I think, Nick Hausman, all those guys, they're all from the dirt sheets. They're there, but I think really they tell them beforehand what questions you can ask and so forth. I think they're just predetermined in that aspect. I know last month or the last one we got when the lawsuit bombshell happened, they did ask Triple H, but I think they expected that, or they at least said, okay, you ask it. One question and that's it. Nobody talk about it again, which kind of happened because that was the news of the day, even though The Rock and everybody came back. And, so I think this presser here is not going to reveal anything. We're going to get numbers from Triple H like we always do. It was a sellout, X amount of merchandise sold, X amount of money generated, that type of thing. Cause we always get that. He's the businessman. He'll put his glasses on. This could be like, oh, it was an excellent show tonight.
I don't know what people expect. He's not going to come out and be like, well, that was garbage and someone's fired because we suck.
And of course, you get Cody Rhodes coming out. Oh, you called out The Rock. You're going to have a match. That's something they can do within 6 weeks to hype it up. But I don't see them fighting. I think they're in this together. I think they're in cahoots together. I think this is Mike Tyson all over again. The hug at the very beginning of all this with them two. The Rock said, "We got this. Let me take it from here." And that's what's happening. That's just my guess.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it was a great show. Those of you tuning in on the chat, thank you very much for waking up with us and so forth. I know it's early. It's early here in Iowa. I want to thank everybody in the chat again and enjoy your Saturday. There is a recap show coming up later tonight. I want to say it's around 7:30, 8 o'clock. They'll have additional information if anything has come out of this. We are live after the pre-show. They're going to be live, so you can enjoy. SO Benny will be there. The player Phil Cesare will be there. So tune in for that. And once again, I want to thank everybody else for tuning in. It's been a great show. So, thank you so much for watching everything, guys. I appreciate it. So enjoy your evening. Let me get my closing here. It's going to be a weird closing anyways, but we'll see you guys next time. Tune in tonight. I'm Joe Lowry. Thanks, Dan.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody.
All right. What a day.